Welcome back to Studio B with your day-to-day Cougar Sports play-by-play. Jeremy Jordan, Dave McCann. Last week we had Jay Billis on, Sean Farnham, Roxy Bernstein. We had Fran Fraschilla on Monday. We now welcome back Sean Farnham, who last week was mildly upset that we had Jay Billis on. So now that we've had a couple other guys on, Sean, first off, how you doing? How are we feeling?
I see. I wasn't as upset about Jay Billis as much as I remember when during our interview, I said absolutely no Roxy Bernstein, and then you ignored me.
I was gone that day. Talk to our producer Colton.
I mean, I'm just wondering. Like, I've come on a couple weeks in a row now. I think I'm starting to lose control over the segments that I do, and I'm kind of concerned about that. But no, it's great to be back with you guys. And obviously this is an exciting time of year, that we're starting to get to that time where we turn the calendar over to March. And as March hits, the madness is in full force. And I anticipate that we're going to see that in particular in the Big 12 as we move forward.
Look, a lot of teams and a lot of shows like this one can lose their focus here as a grueling regular season winds down. So we'll try to stay sharp.
No, I wanted to get off the rails as much as possible. That's usually see, now, if you haven't been here, I usually go after Jerem a little bit, but he's sitting in Spencer's chair today, so I don't want to distract him from the show and talk about how great his hair looks or something that he said in the previous segment. So we're just going to go ahead and roll along. So I apologize. Go ahead, Dave.
No, yeah, you're right. Hey, what'd you learn about BYU from the Kansas State loss that you might have not seen before that?
I think we saw much of the same. I think that's the concern, right? When this team goes on the road, sometimes it doesn't pack its D. And the defense needs to travel, and the defense needs to be strong. And in the Big 12, you cannot take off nights on defense. And when your opponent, you allow a home opponent to shoot 55% plus from the field, and you give them, I think, over 31 free throw attempts, you're not going to get a great whistle on the road really anywhere. And that's a staple in any conference, regardless of what conference you're playing in. But to allow them to find rhythm and shoot with such efficiency, I think that becomes a concern from the fact that you're obviously not going to be playing home games in the NCAA tournament. So you've got to be able to be intense. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The defense is the key for BYU. I'm not worried about the offense of BYU. And I know that they can struggle at times from three, and we've talked about that over the course of the season. But I agree with what you guys were saying in the previous segment. Do you really well? Who are you and what is the strengths of your team? And I tell people all the time when I do business meetings and motivational speaking is, what are your strengths, and play to your strengths. So often in society, we start worrying about our weaknesses on the offensive end of the floor. Don't worry about that if you're BYU. The defense has proven time and time again in conference play that it's capable and it's able to get there. So now the question becomes, why doesn't it show up in the games on the road? Why didn't it show up at Oklahoma State? Why didn't it show up at Kansas State? And I remember last week I did tell you that the Baylor game was a more winnable game than probably the game at Kansas State, just because of how difficult it is to win in that environment. Well, tonight it's another challenge and a historic environment that will present a unique challenge all in itself with the Kansas Jayhawks.
Hold on, you've been holding out on us? You're Matt Foley, motivational speaker?
I do tend to do some corporate events throughout the course of the year.
Look at you.
Nice.
Look at you.
I got to pay for college tuition for my oldest son. So we're just remember that. Hey, you guys, you think you got me on this show for free? That ain't it. Everybody's got a price. Mine just isn't very high. That's all.
Hey, I know how that is with rugby in particular.
Like a lot of small prices add up to a bunch of stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
There you go.
Small and simple means, as they say. Okay, tonight
I'm the guy
Kansas.
with the chisel and the small hammer on the big stone, just going like this, you know, all day long.
Hey, all day. Let's go. Okay, tonight, certainly an opportunity for BYU. The Cougars do not have a marquee road win. They have Iowa State and Baylor at home, which are two tremendous wins, right? BYU 2-6 on the road. Now would be another one of those BYU at Gonzaga, like, where did this come from? Top three road win, undefeated number, whatever team kind of moments. It's been a few years, but we've seen BYU do this before. And then Vegas gives us a 6.5-point line. No McCullers Jr. What's the chance BYU actually pulls off a crazy upset tonight?
Yeah, I think the other thing to note, too, is that Utah loss isn't looking very good right now.
We don't want to hear that.
I understand that you don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of the situation. That Utah loss that looked like it was going to be okay early in Pac-12 play doesn't look nearly as good right now as they've continued to struggle late in the season and likely going to miss the NCAA tournament. The significance of this one or the Iowa State game is huge. And sitting at 7-7, this is why a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, they were saying, hey, these are some must-win games because you had to get above 500 and probably a cushion above 500 to make sure that you stayed at 500 at the end of the season, because this stretch is brutal. And you have two of the most difficult road environments in all of college basketball in Kansas and Iowa State. You get one of the oldest teams in college basketball in TCU that thrives getting points off of turnovers. However, if you watch the game last night, I think you're fairly confident your offense is going to be okay against that team, because that was a struggle bus last night to watch that game for Baylor against TCU at TCU, game in which the Horned Frogs lost. And then obviously Oklahoma State is a must-win game. So if you want to finish above 500, you got to steal one that you're not supposed to get. Now, I think tonight is the easier game to get out of the two road games that BYU is playing, based on the fact that Kevin McCullough isn't playing. Now, why is that so significant that Kevin McCullough isn't playing? Well, first of all, he's probably their best all-around player on the team. He impacts the game at all levels, defensively, offensively, he assists, rebounds. Like he's kind of the glue that holds it all together. Now, Hunter Dickinson is obviously a massive man underneath and has great size, but Kevin McCullough's been playing at an all-American level. So now that means you've got to pull somebody off your bench. When you look at Kansas, they don't play players off their bench, and they're getting very limited production off of their bench. In fact, they're number 3 in the country as far as minutes played by their starters, with only Air Force and Tulane ahead of them. So they're not getting guys coming off the bench that are being productive. And Bill Self has had a very short bench all season long. Now, the key, I think, in this game, there's two things to look at. One is defensively, how can you be disruptive against Hunter Dickinson and not allow him just to get post-up position and just bury you under the basket and allow them to play through him. Furphy's he's going to want to shoot the ball from the outside. He's got more to his game, but I think you want to run him off the three-point line as much as possible. And DeJuan Harris, at times, has been, lacking aggressiveness in looking for his own shot because he's such a great facilitator. And if you can hold him under 10 points, the numbers speak to themselves. It benefits the opponent. So I think handling the environment, keeping Kansas off the free throw line, going to be very key. I think BYU is going to be able to score tonight. The question becomes is defensively, are they going to be able to be dialed in? And as this game goes on, can the depth and the multiple shooters that BYU has wear down Kansas at home? Now, we don't see that very frequently, especially at Allen Fieldhouse. And if you're expecting a whistle that's going to favor BYU tonight, you should be expecting something else. You should be expecting Jay Billis here instead of me or something, it's not happening today. All right. So I think you've got to sit there and you've got to realize that defensively is the biggest key tonight, is making sure you're collapsing on Hunter Dickinson and then closing out to shooters. Just close out to the shooters. And I think that would put BYU in a situation that it shifts some of that stress and pressure late in the game over to the Kansas Jayhawks. Offensively, I think you move the ball. You try to be aggressive, because, by the way, if you can get some of the other starters into foul trouble, as I just mentioned, they have no bench. And so I think the level of aggressiveness offensively is, you're going to hear all day long at shoot around, I'm sure, is, hey, Kansas is going to say, shooter, he's a shooter, he's a shooter. We got to close out. We got to be there on the catch. Can you shot fake? Can you put it on the deck? Can you get by them and then force them to lunge and reach and get in some rotations where you get to go to the foul line at least early, and that lessens the level of aggressiveness that they can play defense. And I think that would benefit BYU a ton tonight on the road. But this is a significant one. And again, out of the two road games remaining, I think this is the one that's probably going to be easier to get. It's not going to be easy to get, so I don't want you to get confused by that. But I think this one has the better chances than going into Iowa State, just because Iowa State, their defense is going to lock you down. They may struggle offensively, but they turn you over as well as anybody in the country, and they score points off of turnovers as well as anybody in the country.
Sean, let's say BYU finishes 9-9, and maybe they win a game in the conference tournament. Where do you see the seeding for the big dance, which really is what matters this time of year? And Lenardi's got them now as a 7. They're out of the national polls after the Kansas State loss. There's a feel of them sliding. Where do you see them ending up?
Yeah, I had people tweeting at me last week because I said that I thought the days were number of being ranked in the top 25, and then they beat Baylor, and everybody was like, see? And I was like, patience. Let's wait. You can't you can't play 500 basketball and stay in the top 25. It's just not that way. However, when you look at the seeding, and you're right. At this time of year, worry less right now. If you're a BYU fan, worry less about the game-to-game results as much as you worry about the resume that you're building and what's going on around you when it comes to seeding purposes. I think the top seed that they could get if they were able to win let's say they steal a game tonight, because that's what it would be. By the way, to win at Kansas, they're stealing a game. They beat Kansas, they beat TCU at home, and they beat Oklahoma State. They finish above 500. Let's go there. Okay. Then they win a game in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. I think you're looking at a team that is probably maybe the last 5 seed, certainly one of the higher 6 seeds at that point in time. If you finish 500, I think you're going to finish exactly where you're at right now. I don't think anything's going to change. If you drop below 500, and let's say they lose tonight, lose to TCU, lose to Iowa State, and obviously that would mean 4 straight losses. I think now you're in danger of dropping down to 8-9. And I think that puts you in a more precarious situation. BYU is going to be in the NCAA tournament. They're not going to fall out of the NCAA tournament. Just look at what's going on around college basketball. The Pac-12 is down to just 2 teams getting in. I don't see that expanding out unless somebody steals a bid in the Pac-12 tournament. And again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Mountain West is kind of capped where it's going to be at. So I think as you start to look around, the numbers are pretty much set as far as who's getting in from the power conferences. Unless there's these random situations where you have, bid stealers that come out of nowhere, then that starts, concerning you as far as bumping you down potentially more. But I think the worst seed you're going to see is a 9. The best seed you're probably going to see is a high 6, maybe the last 5, if you really go on a run down the stretch.
We're talking with Sean Farnham of ESPN. Let's finish with this. Who are your top 5 teams in the Big 12 as we sit?
I think you got to start with the Houston Cougars, right? I mean, Houston has just been consistently just wearing teams down at the defensive end of the floor, their ability to get second chance points. I think Iowa State is second based on their defense and the consistency in which they play. The depth of Kansas concerns me. There's no doubt about it. And Kevin McCullough's injury concerns me. Baylor, huge win last night against TCU. That's what jumps them over TCU. Otherwise, I would have had TCU ahead of them. Remember, TCU actually has been pretty good on the road this year. That's important to note as they come to Provo for that contest. They're a team that thrives in the fast break and points off of turnovers. But I think those are the 5 teams right now. Texas Tech would probably be 6, and then I would put BYU right behind them.
BYU with wins versus 2 and 4 on your list. They're playing 3 and 5 this week. Should be eventful.
But those
Sean.
are at home. You got to win games on the road. You want to be elite, win games on the road. Kansas can't win games on the road either, by the way, which is why Kansas isn't higher up on my list. Again, offensively, they're great. They win at home. Okay, cool. But they don't win on the road. And in the NCAA tournament, every game's a neutral site game. And when you get to Kansas City, which, by the way, I can officially say, I'm going to be in Kansas City.
Yeah, dog.
So I can't wait to be there and be part of the festivities. And it should be fun. And I hope BYU fans show up and show out, just like they did for the WCC. Because, as I get to Vegas for the WCC tournament, I will tell you this. I will miss the thousands of BYU fans. And I've been screaming at like the San Franciscos and the St. Mary's of the world going, please just get buses for your kids. Send them down. Make the environment good, please. Because it will be missed this year, without question, the fans of BYU. And I hope that the BYU fans understand that this experience is different. It's supersized, and it is magnificent to be part of the Big 12 tournament. It's an event. It's not just games. It's not just a tournament. It is an event that you want to be part of. And certainly I hope to see many BYU fans there in Kansas City in a couple of weeks.
Sean, what you won't be missing at the WCC is the long line of BYU fans at the Baskin-Robbins after the last game of the day.
Okay, but here's what I do.
Right to the line, right to the front.
But I will miss the desk. Okay, like little known facts. Let's go inside the weeds here, okay, about how great BYUtv is to us at the WCC tournament. There were times that we got to use some of your cameras on our broadcast. Yeah. And let's be honest, you guys know this. Your cameras were better than ours in certain areas. So we're like, what? We got an overhead camera from the top, like the dunk cam? Like, wow, how do we get this? And we're like, it's BYUtv. So I'm like, okay, well, appreciate it.
Our
and
snacks
then in return,
were better too. We had better snacks.
Yeah, the craft
way better snacks. and then of course you had the set inside the arena that was super nice. That I'd always like at least join you for one day of it. So yeah, look, It'll be missed. You guys will be missed in Las Vegas. There's no doubt about it. Not just your fans, but both of you will be missed in Las Vegas as well. It was a great run in the WCC. I'm happy to go back there, obviously. Some major games coming up this week for Gonzaga, as they have two potential quad one wins laying in front of them, as they're in jeopardy of maybe missing the NCAA tournament, depending upon what they do at the Chase Center on Thursday night against USF.
We don't care about Gonzaga anymore.
We've moved on from the Zags.
We don't care about the Zags anymore.
No, you actually brought them up earlier. You were referencing a win you had 4 years ago. What are you talking about?
Because of Brigham. Because of Brigham. Sean, best of luck on your studio stuff tonight, and we appreciate the time.
I'm going to need it, guys. I'm going to need it. I'm a little punchy right now. I'm a little tired. It's late in the season. You were talking about fatigue factor for the players.
Right.
Can we talk about announcer fatigue? Like, there has to be something, it's like, how much more do I have to really say about all these teams that we see? Like, watching Miami play North Carolina last night. What are we doing?
Just keep giving Greenberg a hard time. Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Listen, you're living the dream. You're living the dream.
Yeah, and West Virginia. How is West Virginia down 25 points? And we all look at it and go, that game's over. And then we're like just focusing on the Miami game. And the next thing I know, I look over and I go, hey, coach, that's a 4-point game now. What the hell just happened there?
Yeah, look out. Sean, we appreciate
22-2 run just happened, Farnham. They hit 9 threes. Oh, okay, I got it.
It happens. Sean, we appreciate it.
You guys are the best.
Thanks, brother.